Hi, everyone. Okay, welcome to our first talk of the series in fall semester. So again, in case there are some new audience here, this talk series will be given by the awardees of NCU-Delta Young Astronomer Lectureship, which was founded by the National Central University and Delta Electronics Foundation to recognize young scholars who have made outstanding contributions in this field. So each year, the awardee will be invited to Taiwan to interact with the local astronomers and the public. And the first award was given in 2012. And actually, the original plan for this year was to invite all of the previous awardees to come back to Taiwan. But unfortunately, we have to make this event online due to the pandemic. So our speaker today is Dr. Jean-Baptiste Vincent from DLR Institute of Planetary Research. It's our great pleasure to have him here. Dr. Vincent received this award in 2017, and he's a world expert in studying small bodies such as comets and asteroids. And I think he has great contributions for example, understanding the surface structure of active comets and the theoretical interpretations of the underlying mechanisms. And he has also joined many important space missions, such as the famous Rosetta mission to study the comet 67P. And I believe he has written many high-profile papers on this fantastic object. So today, the title of his talk is Next Frontiers in Exploration of Asteroids and Comets. So just a few announcements before we start. Please mute yourself during the talk. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the chat box anytime you want. We will come back to those questions in the middle of the talk or during the Q&A session after the talk. So, okay, Jean-Baptiste, I will let you take this away if you're ready.
Okay.
I can try to, yeah, okay, it's already in full screen. I can see it clearly.
Yeah, it's already in full screen.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for the introduction, and please interrupt me anytime if there are some technical issues or if you don't hear me well or if you don't see the slides. So yeah, thank you very much for having me today to give this talk, and also for giving me this award a few years ago. So thanks a lot to NCU and to the Delta Foundation for that. So yeah, you gave me the opportunity to visit Taiwan and to have many interesting discussions with my friends and colleagues there at NCU and in many other places. And I wish I could be there today to speak to you face to face and to enjoy then, I don't know, good food in the night market in Taipei or elsewhere. But hopefully we can do that again in the coming years. And this reminds me, I wanted to do something. Yeah, I will put as a virtual background a picture I took from the Lulin Observatory, so I can pretend that I'm in Taiwan today. So for this talk, I decided to focus on very positive things and some exciting things that are happening in the field of exploration of small bodies, asteroids and comets, and to look at the future and to try to encourage maybe younger people or new generation of students and scientists to join this field and to work with us on trying to understand these fascinating objects of our solar system. And last time I was in Taiwan, I gave several lectures about the Rosetta mission. That is the background of my title slide here. Because we had just finished the mission and we had so much data, and we are actually still working on this data. And Professor Ip has just published a new paper on looking at the erosion of the comet. And there is still so much to do, but of course there is also the question of what comes next after the Rosetta mission. What are the questions that we could not answer, and what are the next space missions we need in order to address these questions? And this is what I want to talk about today. So I will start first with some general statements to give you a bit of an idea of the field if you're not too familiar with that. So on this slide, you see pictures of almost all the asteroids and comets that have been observed by space missions up to now. There are a few missing. The last ones from the last couple of years are missing, but these are about 20 objects that we have visited with spacecraft. And why do we care about these objects? Well, in our current understanding, we think that asteroids and comets are somehow the leftovers from the formation of the solar system. So they are small objects, rocky and icy objects that did not manage to come together to accrete into larger planets. And this can be for many reasons. It can be because there was not enough mass available in the accretion disk where these objects were starting to form. It can be that they were too much disturbed by the gravitational pull of planets that had formed a bit earlier. It could be that they started to accrete as planets, but because of collisions, these planets broke down, and all what we see now are the debris of these collisions. But essentially, what this is telling us is that by studying asteroids and comets, we have a window into the very beginning of the solar system. And so we study these objects to try to understand how our planets have formed and also how they evolve. What are the dynamics of the solar system that are controlling the position of these objects? And this tells us about our origin, about how the planets are formed, but it's also telling us some things about later times in the history of the solar system, because these objects don't stay where they are formed, they migrate, and sometimes they impact planets. And this can lead to the transport of material from the outer solar system to the inner solar system. For instance, we are not so sure about the origin of water and organic material on our planet, but also on Mars or on Venus. And one of the hypotheses is that this material that is necessary for life to appear could have been deposited by asteroids or by comets. So that's something we are investigating. But sometimes this impact can also have very negative consequences. A giant impact can lead to a massive extinction. You're all aware of this. The most famous case would be the extinction event at the end of the Cretaceous period, 65 million years ago, during which the Chicxulub impact wiped out three quarters of life on Earth. So that's a question that comes up. What can we do if we detect that an asteroid or a comet would come towards our planet and would impact our planet? Do we have the capability to protect ourselves or protect the planet against such threat? So these are some of the topics I will discuss today. To kind of bring you up to date on what is happening in our field and what are the challenges for the next decade. So I will start with some concepts about what I call the big picture. What are the big open questions in our field after all these missions that and all this data that we have collected from previous missions? I mentioned that by studying asteroids and comets, we study the origins of the solar system. And for instance, one of the big questions is how much mass was in the accretion disk and how much mass was, so how much material was at the edge of the solar system where comets were formed. This number is important because it constrains a lot of the processes that are happening, a lot of the dynamical processes that are happening later on in the evolution of the solar system, such as the migration of the giant planets. And we believe that this is also happening on many other planetary systems. We know that many sun-like stars that where there is a planetary system forming also have a disk of small bodies around them. And we wonder what is the contribution of these small objects to the general evolution of the system. And if it's necessary to have these small bodies forming far away from their star in order to allow the rocky planets to form closer to the star and then later have the possibility to host life. And so for that, we need to study how these objects form and especially where they form and what they are made of. And one big unknown we have at the moment is about the interior structure of these objects. We don't really know what is inside asteroids and comets, what is the distribution of density or the distribution of different type of material inside the objects. And this is very important to constrain the very early history of the formation of these objects. And that's something we hope to address with future missions. So far, we have not really been able to do that. Beyond the origins, comets and asteroids are also important for looking at the evolution of planetary systems, as I mentioned before, particular needs of these objects. But we are also interested in the evolution of these objects themselves. And I will get back to this towards the end of the talk. But at the moment, I just want to say that we know that asteroids and comets are active, especially comets. They show these beautiful tails that can cover the full sky when we observe them from the Earth. And we know that this is due to the sublimation of volatile material and ices that are present on the surface or very close to the surface. But the details of this evolution they are not very well understood. And when we look at features on asteroids and comets, it's not always obvious whether these features, the topography, for instance, whether this is something very pristine that dates from the origin of the solar system, or whether this is something that has been created by evolutionary processes. And that's something that I'm personally very much interested in, and it's one of the main topics of my work. And finally, we have the connection to habitability. So I mentioned before that comets and asteroids contain all the elements that are necessary for the creation of life. They have organic material, they have water, and maybe they brought these elements to our planet. But they can also be a danger to the planet because giant impact release a lot of energy suddenly and can completely destroy lots of ecosystems very quickly. So asteroids and comets are important to understand this concept of habitability, because on one hand they are a positive thing, but on the other hand they can also be a danger. And looking a bit towards the future, many people think that asteroids are very relevant because they contain rare materials that would be very valuable, particularly for electronics and for all the components that we will need if we want to transition to a world where we use less fossil fuels and more electric energy. And so asteroid mining is being more and more discussed. It used to be something that was completely science fiction, but now more and more companies and space agencies are starting to get interested into this, and maybe it will become a real business in the future.